All right, let's get started. All right, I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. I am definitely a talker. So if you end up with any questions, just throw them into it. We're going to have lots of time for that. But let's get started with me introducing myself. So my name is Ell Marquez, and I am the Linux and security advocate at Inazur. I'm also an advocate for Operation Safe Escape. So right before I even get started, I'm going to tell you all how you can help save a life. Operation Safe Escape is a 501c3 targeted to helping women or men in domestic violence situations where they're being targeted specifically through tech. If you or anyone you know is in this situation, please reach out. You're not alone and we can help. Right. With that said, let me tell you what a Linux and security advocate is. It means that I work with these huge researchers, right? People doing cutting edge, research and telling us about things that have never been found before. And I have all of like 6 months worth of experience. Talk about like imposter syndrome to the nth degree. Like I don't even feel like I understand every 3 words that they say, but it's my job and that's what I'm going to do. And so, how am I going to do that? Well, the whole concept, and I promise this isn't a sales pitch, but you need to understand in order to understand me. The whole concept between Inazur is that all code has like this shared information, has this shared binary information that we can look at it and we can see how it develops. Well, if the concept is kind of similar to DNA, I'm DNA, therefore I'm code, and I'm born with this base code, like this belief of, these abilities that I have to do. And within that, then we extend to the fact that, hey, I can develop that. And it is shaped by those around me. We're told who we're going to be. We're told how we're going to grow up. Our culture starts to define us. Can you actually change that? Well, yes, I think that you can look at it and you can look at the matrix and you can begin to say, no, I want to be more of that. I don't want to be put into this pigeonhole. I'm not going to believe what people are trying to do to my code. I'm going to write my own. So with that being said, let me introduce myself one more time. Hey everyone, I am Ello Punk and I am a hacker. And the reason that I say that we're all hackers is the fact that we are all born with this just innate curiosity to the world. When we look at this dandelion when we're little, we don't say, this is a weed. I should be very careful and go throw it away. No, we say, wow, if I blow on this, it's going to give me my wish. Or look at this, look at the fairies that are flying around. We make something do what it wasn't intended to do. Like when weeds were created, that's probably not what they thought we were going to do with them. Let me introduce you to one of my favorite hackers in the whole wide world. Now, this is Mike, and I'm not even going to try to say his last name. And I was told, by somebody when I was going through this, like, hey, this is a women's conference and you really should focus on women and their inspiration. And to you, I say, why are we trying to limit ourselves one more time? Take inspiration, take code, become who you are from wherever you can find it. And the reason that he is a huge inspiration to me, and I see him as a hacker, is that he has decided to turn the impossible into the possible. And this all started when he was listening to a story on the news about this little boy who lived in a village that is constantly under attack. And he thought, like many of us do, like, what could I do? We all want to help, but we say, like, I'm just, whatever. I'm just a programmer. I'm just management. Like, I just work at a grocery store. And we gatekeep ourselves. And he decided, you know what? No. And so he went out and he spoke to people and he tried to gather his village and he said, what can we do? He started this whole concept. And the little boy, when he was talking about this, he actually said, you know what? I wish I would have died, because what's become is that all I am is a hindrance to my family. I am something else that they have to take care of. But Mike, he changed this little boy's future. He took what should have been a prosthetic arm that cost thousands and thousands of dollars and worked with other engineers, worked with people in the community to be able to produce it in about a little less than $100. And this was at the time that I found this story. Like the price is even further going down. This was one of the first. And if you followed kind of any medical news, you know that this has been developed to the point where it can be 3D printed. And the 3D printer that you need can be 3D printed from another printer. He changed the world by just seeing a news story and deciding to act by it. Now, if you're watching this and you're going, yeah, but I'm not him. I don't have that creativity. I don't know the people that I need to. And excuse and excuse and excuse of why the reasons we can't do it. I say to you, stop gatekeeping yourself. When we talk about gatekeeping in this community, it's usually about somebody else putting doors in front of us, somebody else not letting us grow, somebody else telling us what we can and cannot do, somebody else rewriting our code, rewriting our good, trusted, clean code into this maliciousness that is really impacting who we are. I tell you, take control of it, rewrite that code, push it out, become not who you were meant to be, become who you want to be. Because to you, I say you are a hacker. We see things differently. So if the gate is being kept, why are you trying to go through it? Just jump the fence. I know that not everyone here may be working specifically in what we call a technical role. And you know what, to me, everybody is in a technical role because if you use a phone, if you use a tablet, if you use a computer, dear people, I almost said God here, dear people, if you can use a Windows-based computer, you are far better technical person than I will ever be because I know Linux and Windows just confuses the daylights out of me. But in the I guess security world, there is anonymous. And if you've all kind of listened to news stories, you may be familiar with them. And they are a group of hacktivists that go after certain targets to try to change the world into what they want. Now, a lot of people see them as cyber criminals, and they obviously see themselves as wanting to change the world. I am not here to pass judgment in any way. But what they say about themselves is that we are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive and we do not forget. And when I heard these words, I didn't see the words of an attacker. I saw the words that really I should be living by, that have kind of dictated my world. And that's just kind of strange, right? Like, how can I see that? Well, that's really what inspired this talk, is me understanding that I was letting too many other people tell me who I was. At the time that I started working on this talk, I was in a very, very bad state. I was at a company that was constantly telling me that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to. You know, they actually told me when I asked to speak at a certain conference, well, we're not sure that you're quite there yet. I mean, once you start speaking at big conferences, instead of these little bitty ones that you're doing, maybe we can support you. That was a blow. And I didn't let myself think, man, I have toured the world. I have taught in front of thousands of people, you know, in Sydney. I've had companies pay for me to go to Berlin and teach in front of them. All I heard was, that's not good enough. You're not good enough. And to a certain degree, I did begin to feel that I was anonymous. I'm no one, right? Like I'm just no one in the big spectrum. And how we overcome this is we come together, right? We become legion, we become one. And so I challenge you right now, when you leave this talk, help me hack the planet. Because I've said it once and I will continue to say it. No fancy slides, no anything, whether you believe yourself to be technical or in the tech world at all. Just stop. Stop gatekeeping yourself because you, my friend, you are a hacker. Now, if you don't believe it, and I really didn't believe it at the time, I learned about something called social engineering. And social engineering is where you present yourself as someone else in order to get what you want. You know, one of my favorite, social engineers, one of my favorite hackers, he is an in-person hacker, meaning he walks into a building, he pretends and just carries himself like he works there. And he's literally been able to walk into banks, pick computers, and convince the tellers that he's supposed to, work on them. He's supposed to be able to upgrade them and walk right out of the building and put them into his car. Like, mind you, he's doing this with permission, so it's okay. He's not a criminal, he's a hacker. If he can do that, if he can convince people whose entire job is to protect our money, protect our things, why can't I do it for myself? So I really dove into the concept of social engineering. You know what? If I'm not good enough, if I can't do this, if I can't make people see that I can become who I want to be, then let's trick them. Let's take the code and become the woman in the red dress. And while they're so busy seeing that, I can begin to transform myself. Like, you're seeing me right now dressed in front of you, and I have like my hair going on, and I did my makeup, and I've got all this jewelry on. And all of it is meant to really pursue and push to you that I'm a star, right? I stand out. And inside, that's me. I'm cringing. You can say I was talking at the beginning with our moderator, and I'm just like, I am so nervous. I got up on stage like a few days ago and I gave the wrong talk. I mean, talk about embarrassing. But why didn't I crawl into a hole? Well, I did for a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I freaked out. I hid in my room, but I had to come back out. And how did I do it? I put on this persona again. Hi, I'm Mellow Punk. That's how I started this. I'm playing a role. I'm a character in a movie. If you're not good enough, if you truly believe that, become someone else. Pretend. Because I'm going to tell you, eventually, it does start seeping into who you are. Because you think, wow, I was able to fool all those people. I was able to get the promotion. I was able to do all this. And imposter syndrome doesn't become, oh my God, I'm not good enough. It becomes, let's play at the big boys table. Let's make a stance. Because if I mess up, it's not on me. That's just the character that I was watching. One time when I was speaking, I fell off the stage. Literally, I'm out there, I'm peacocking, I'm making a point, and bam, off the stage in front of everybody. I wanted to run out of that room. But it's just a part. Like, that was a really funny part in the play. I wonder what's going to happen next. I'm writing the code, I'm writing the program, I'm writing the play that we're in. That brought me to the concept of We Are Legion. Because people didn't just let me lay there on the floor, right? Like, they stopped. They helped me stand up. They encouraged me to get back on the stage. It wasn't a bunch of people making fun of me. And that's when I realized, like, I'm not in this alone. Just because there is a group of people who are trying to tell me that I'm not everything that I think I am, doesn't mean that there's not a whole group there ready to lift me up. And as I became more honest, I lived in the Twitter world and I began to share my life and my faults and the things that I was afraid of. And I know that's really big for a lot of people. They want their privacy, and that's fine. You don't have to do it on Twitter. Find your group, find somebody in the company that would be willing to mentor you. And that's a whole different talk. Somebody whom you can let your guard down with. My community, this is just some of them. The reason that I pick these people is I was no one to them. Like, we'd never met in person. I had no real connection with them, but they stood up and they helped. Like, I've got Kat down here in the lower corner. And it's funny, like, she is amazing. She does these huge security things, has reached levels in her career that I'm not gatekeeping. I just tell you, like, I'm not willing to dedicate the time to get where she is. It's so amazing. And she messaged me and she said, wow, I look up to you. I love what you've managed to accomplish. I wish I could be like you. What? Like, how is that even possible? My peacock had become that big. And there was a part of me that's like, what is she talking about? And a part of me that was like, huh, maybe I am good enough. Like, this is great. And then we've got David, he's up on the top corner. And I am the founder, the creator, whatever, of this campaign called It's Okay to Be New. And it's this concept that if you are in your life and you aren't new at something, like you've become stagnant. Why aren't you learning? Why aren't you seeking? Whether that be learning to sew when you don't know, because that's me, learning to cook, learning to be better at your job, going for a certification, whatever it is that brings you happiness. If you're not doing that, then what's it worth? Why are you willing to just be stagnant? Be new at something. We all are. So don't be embarrassed about being new. And David, he's amazing. He has, traveled the world. He's worked with the government. He has a podcast episode on Darknet Diaries talking about how he accidentally started helping us like attack another nation state without realizing that he was doing it. I mean, like, wow. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm writing a book. Would you be willing to come in and talk to us and like kind of write the entire beginning of the kind of introduction for this?" The forward. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm nobody. Like, I speak at big conferences supposedly. Like, I'm this little baby in the tech world. What are you talking about? But somewhere around that, like, I had brought in that Elo Punk character, and I was like, you know what? I'll do it. Like my gates just kept leaving. And I'm not going to go to every person in the slide because we have limited time. But to every person on this slide, I owe a bit of gratitude because they were able to help me when I was at my lowest point. Because when I say I was at my lowest point, y'all, you don't understand. When I say I'm going to start crying. When I said that they saved my life, they did because they gave me a reason to keep going. And that brings me to the concept of, sorry, I get really emotional at that part. We do not forgive and we do not forget. We don't. You know what? I met like one of the top security people in the world. Like he's testified about Congress, he's whatever, he's wow. And when I met him, I didn't know who he was. And excuse my language, but I literally looked at him and was like, who the hell are you? That was embarrassing. I still remember that and I cringe. I talked to him about, I don't know, a month ago. He didn't remember it. He had no recollection of it. But I can tell you that I've told that story and cringed and have held on to that for so long. Like, I didn't forget my mistake. How many times have you sat and kind of pulled yourself down into a hole because you just kept reliving an accident that you did, even if it was from childhood, and just pushing yourself into just this dark corner because we don't forgive ourselves. We need to start changing who we believe ourselves to be. We know what our code is now, but code is meant to be changed and rewritten. I mean, imagine if you were still using the same computer programs that you were like in the 1980s and the 1990s and early 2000s for you babies out there. Where would we be? We are meant to grow. We are meant to change. All right, I presented a lot of problems. I told you about me, but what good are problems if I can't bring you solutions? So this is what I suggest to you. I'm going to spend a little bit time on each one of these because I think that they are extremely important. And first of all, understand and really not knowing that not knowing is not defeat. Just because you don't know something right now, just because you're in a position where people are kind of pushing back at you. I was working as a Linux administrator and I was 6 months into the job. I'd been using Linux for maybe 9 months. And I had a colleague who I really respected do a ticket review on me. That ticket review, which was sent to me and to my manager, was I could automate you. I can't tell you how devastated I was. I'd been trying my hardest. I'd been trying to learn. And apparently, I, once again, wasn't good enough. That was really hard. But you know something? That was the beginning of my career because I was determined to prove him wrong. And in the last 5 years, I have changed jobs 6 times. Each job I've been more proud of. I have changed the world with each one because I get opportunities to speak with all of you and throughout the world and teach you. And teach you the fact that sometimes you don't know enough to even know the questions that you're supposed to ask. And that's okay. Be excited about that moment. This could be where you make that code change that changes your entire life again. I was at a conference once and I had this guy and he just kind of kept looking at me and he was like around the corner. I kind of started freaking out, I'm not going to lie. And eventually this woman comes and she pulls him by his like arm and walks right up to me and says, "Are you Elle?" I said, "Yes, I am. I'm sorry, ma'am. How can I help you?" And she said, "Talk to her." And he just kind of pushed him in front of me. And he's like, "I mean, I took some of your courses and I don't know, you don't know who I am, but I learned enough to go and apply for a job and I loved it and I kept learning new things and I got my visa and came here and I brought my mama here and I brought my kids and they're in American schools and you have changed my life and my family tree." No, I didn't. I wrote some courses and threw them out there because I wanted people to learn what they didn't know. He rewrote what he thought he could be. He rewrote his entire family tree. It was his work who changed not only his life, but changed his family's life. Also, find your passion. If you don't enjoy what you're doing and you're holding yourself back and you're gatekeeping because you don't care, what? It's okay. Sometimes we have to do the job, but at the same time, chase what you're wanting to do. It could be a hobby that brings you happiness. To me, it meant finally realizing that I needed to leave. I didn't enjoy the job. I had it once, but now it was affecting not only my mental health, but my health itself. That's how far it got. I quit my job. I didn't have another job in place. I was scared. I didn't have enough savings to live on. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. But at some point, I had to stand up for myself and say, "You will not inject your malicious code into who I am. I am going to write my future." And I chased my passion and I went in and I had an interview at Inazur, company that I had no business working on. This is not gatekeeping. I didn't even know what they really did. And I went in and I just talked to them and they have told me that one of the reasons I got this job, despite being underqualified compared to everybody else, was they could see that passion. You can't teach that passion. You can teach the rest of it. Dig in, please. You know what? Look at that dandelion and don't see it as a weed. Let it be fairies who are going to grant your wish. Within that, don't keep that to yourself. Help others. You will never know when you are the person that steps up and saves somebody else's life. It could be something little, like the person who sent the DM is like, "I really look up to you." Like they didn't come in and sit down with me and have a therapy session. They just give me those little words that I so desperately needed to hear. Also know that your perspective is valuable. I don't care what you've heard in the past. I don't care what you've been said to you before. My family really does not support what I do because I should be in the kitchen. I should be raising my children. The fact that I am away from them right now, I'm at like a hotel in Michigan. I live in Texas. My kids are still there, but I'm chasing my passion because I'm gonna leave here and go talk about nation states and their attacks. Like, what? Like, I don't know, 6 months ago, I know that I would never be able to do that. And they're ashamed of that. Like, I've abandoned my children to chase my passion. You know what? I don't care. My view is that I am helping my kids because they are seeing the person that I am becoming. And I hope that they become that person too. My oldest is actually looking into getting in the cybersecurity field, going and joining the military and making a difference in people's lives in the way that he wants to. You know what? I can't change their perspective, but I can see the value in mine. Diversity, it really is our strength that often, you know what, we neglect. As women, as any type of minority, I can check every single box when it comes to that in myself. We are told constantly, you know what, you're disadvantaged. It really, it's going to take a while. The voices aren't being heard. Like I always hear because I grew up in Mexico in a very poor family that, I'm going to be held behind because I'm socially, I grew up economically disadvantaged. How does that help me? How does pigeonholing me into people are going to hold you back because, you grew up poor, you didn't have technology, because you're a woman, because you're Mexican, because you're LGBTQ? None of that helps me. I recently did a podcast where they were interviewing me about this, and they kept bringing it up. And I finally said, you know what? Stop telling me that. If you want to change the community, if you want to change the world in whatever version that you're looking at, sit down, teach me something, help me with something, help me become and rewrite my code and become more than even I knew that I could be. That is the strength that comes with diversity, because you're willing to stand up and you're willing to look at the world in a different way than perhaps what you grew up with. So I am going to tell you this, and it comes from, okay, I just forgot the source. Sorry, I'm getting really excited and nervous, can you tell? And that's the fact that, you know what, it's pride that tells us that it's impossible. And the fact that we've failed so many times, and we are not going to forget that. We're not going to forgive ourselves. We're so embarrassed. That's why experience is telling us that it's risky. And we make ourselves believe it. Our reason becomes that, you know what? I'm going to fail. Like, why is it worth this? One of my favorite quotes comes from Westward Ho. And I try my hardest to live my life before this. And when I get afraid of doing something, I will stand up as tall as I can. I will put on my Ell Punk mask and I will look in the mirror and I will say to myself, ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, but fail better. Elle, you won't believe what you can accomplish by attempting the impossible if you just have the courage to repeatedly fail better. This this has been life-changing to me. I'm not embarrassed to fail. I mean, I went and gave the wrong talk and I'm still here talking. I have learned something like, hey, check the program before you do it again. And so I say, if you really are a hacker, and you are, then give it a try, because hacking is not a crime. You are not a criminal for going against what people expect of you. In fact, if we have to have a crime, if I have to have committed a crime, you know what? From the Hacker's Manifesto, my crime is that of curiosity. And if that's it, then go and break some laws of nature. Chase your passion. Be curious. It's okay to be new. That I have a few things that I was a slide behind. My apologies. A few questions that are actually going to get into our swag packs. I will send it out to you. You can send me the information. You can send it to our moderator, whoever needs to have it. And that is, and hopefully moderator, you can come in and kind of help me, get people talking about it. This is Ada Lovelace. Now, if hopefully some of you know her, we kind of believe her to be one of the world's first hackers. A family member of mine has actually named their daughter after them. If you know who she is, why do you think that I see her as a hacker? Hopefully somebody will. If not, that's okay. If you don't know, there are other questions that I have and other opportunities that you'll have to get some swag. I'm not seeing anyone, so that's okay. I'm going to tell you why I see her as a hacker. And that's because her work with chasing her passion actually led to the creation of one of the earliest history of computer programs. Like, she was born at a time that women were seen as nothing, really. One of my favorite quotes by her, she said, although my husband did not prevent me from studying, I met with no sympathy whatsoever because he had a very low opinion of the capacity of my sex. When they say that we need to bring women back into tech, or to bring women into tech, I'm like, what? We need to bring women back into tech. We had founders, we had pioneers. All right, here's one that a lot of you should know. Oh, by the way, the second Tuesday in October is Ada Lovelace Day, so make sure to celebrate it. All right, who knows what Hedy Lamarr is famous for? Oh, goodness. It looks like maybe I'm delayed a little bit because now I'm seeing the answers. So hey, moderator, if you saw it quicker, you can tell me who to send it to. But in the meantime, Hedy Lamarr, why is she famous? Give it a minute. Some of you must have seen her. I'm afraid of the delay. I'm like, I don't know how delayed we are. So like, when do I go back? Ah, that's right. She is an actress. There you go, Deanna. You win. No. Oh, you 100% had it right. I see her as a hacker that besides, doing 30 films in 28 years, she co-invented what was seen as frequency hopping, which later became the early versions of Wi-Fi and eventually became the founding of Bluetooth technology. And also make sure to give your information. I think I have my information at the end. You can send it to me or send it to the organization. They'll get it to me and I will send a swag pack your way. You get an awesome one of these shirts. The blue code is trusted code. The red one is malicious code to remind you every day that like you can rewrite this and become who you want. There's some other goodies in there too. All right, last one. A lot of you probably know who this is. So tell me, why is it that I view this person as a hacker? Come on, it's been in the news a lot. Oh, come on, folks, take a question. All right, well, if it's delayed, I'll see it in a minute and it'll tell me. Oop. Yes, Cal, perfect. She didn't let anyone else determine her fate and she chased her dreams. And I mean, you all know she faced great oppression. She faced the concept of mummies being killed for believing what she did and standing up for herself. Man, she is one of the best hackers I've ever met. All right, Cal, make sure to get your information to us, and I will make sure you get a swag pack. So now is your turn. And for the biggest swag pack, one that actually comes with a gift card, I ask you, why are you a hacker? Tell me your story. And we're getting in that. I mean, I guess next is going to be the Q&A section as well. So we can go ahead and somebody tell me why you're a hacker, and any questions that you have, feel free to kind of drop them into chat. This is the awkward silence part. Oh, and I have my email and my Twitter. I guess I forgot to put my email. Oh, no, there it is. Never mind. lopunk.com for you all to send your information so I can get those swag packs out in the mail to you. All right, moderators, it looks like we're not having a lot of conversation. So, oh, here we go. Cal, wow, you're going to get a lot of stuff. I love it. I don't know if everybody's watching chat. So we have some great stories in here. I said I got into IT with only food industry experience through the confidence and faking it till I made it. People get all like about fake it till you make it, but definitely a great way to live life because you can chase your passion that way. I love it. I can become super mom, partially failing. We all failed. Like our only goal is to fail a little less than our parents did, right? And as well as being a software engineer. That's awesome. Okay, I know who I'm giving those swag packs to. Cal, I'm just gonna throw it together, right? Okay, here's the question. If you're faking it and making it, are you really faking it? You know what? You're writing your own code. You can tell for yourself. To me, I really do think so because when I first started out, like I had no idea what I'm doing. You don't understand how scary the first couple of months was here at Innizer. And like now when I go in, I'm just like, wait, what happened? Like I'm no longer faking it. I actually know what I'm talking about when it comes to this malware. Hell yeah, I made it. I'm gonna keep growing, but I now actually belong in this job because I know what we do. So, but make it who it is that you are. Sink or swim, basically. Yeah, sink a lot. You're not going to drown. There's a lot of people here to, grab your hand and pull you back up. And yes, eventually you will learn to swim, or you learn that you don't like swimming and you'll take up hiking instead. Chase your passion. Doop, doop, doop. Any other questions? Oh, thank you. We said, excellent response. Well, thank you very much. That wraps this up. Feel free to reach out to me if you need anything. Let's see. Oh, hold on, we have one more question. Did anything specific happen that kind of gave you the paradigm shift of thinking to chase your dreams and do it all in this life? All right, quick moment. The reason I got into tech and the reason I'm part of Operation Safe Escape is I was in an extremely abusive relationship that really held me down to that concept that I couldn't be more than just a mom. And I watched the movie Whip It with Drew Barrymore and saw, wow, like these roller derby women were insane. They were breaking every concept I had of women. So I snuck out one day and I went and watched a roller derby game. And I went up to them and said, I want to be like you. And they're like, all right. I didn't know how to skate. So they brought me out there and I was so afraid of falling that one of the skaters, one of the derby girls, eventually just started coming. And as soon as I got out there, would shove me over. She's like, cool, you fell. What are you afraid of now? Let's go. Um, all right, like I fell, cool, let's go. I think that really changed the way that I view myself, is seeing these other strong women believe in me. So I think that's all the time that we actually have. I have to grab my stuff and run down the street and go and, fake a little bit like I actually know things about, advanced persistent threats targeting like our country. Whatever, I learned some stuff. I'm going to share it. Thank you, everyone, and I really hope that you enjoy the rest of this conference, and don't be afraid to reach out to me. I will definitely be here on day 2. I've got a lot to learn too. All right, moderators, where do I go from here? Do I drop out? Do we? Awkward silence, folks. What do we do? All right, as they're not talking, and I already said all right, I can leave. Thank you all. You have a great time and enjoy your day. Go chase your passion.